What if a simple vegetable sitting in your kitchen right now, one you've trusted for years, was quietly harming your heart without giving you a single warning sign? What if this healthy food you've eaten your whole life was actually working against you, especially after age 60, slowly shifting your blood pressure and straining your heart behind the scenes? And what if the very foods promoted as heart-friendly were, in reality, the hidden contributors to fatigue, swelling, and dangerous rhythm changes in older adults? I'm Dr. Nana, and what I'm about to share may surprise many seniors across America. After decades of caring for older adults with heart disease, I've watched countless patients walk into my clinic with problems not caused by age, not caused by genetics, but caused by the everyday foods they trusted the most. These dangers aren't exotic. They aren't rare. They blend seamlessly into daily meals, comfort foods, and even those healthy choices lining grocery store shelves. For people over 60, these vegetable-based products can quietly raise blood pressure, disrupt heart rhythm, overload the kidneys, and interfere with life-saving medications, all while appearing completely harmless. What you're about to learn goes against common belief, but it may protect your heart for years to come. So stay with me, because understanding these hidden dangers might be one of the most important steps you take for your health today. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button and turn on the bell, so you never miss another health tip designed just for you. And if you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type "Oh, I always want to know how I can make this content better for you." 1. Pickled vegetables. The salt-heavy foods quietly overworking the aging heart. For many older adults across America, a small dish of pickled vegetables feels harmless, sometimes even comforting. It brings back memories of family dinners, holiday gatherings, and that familiar tang so many of us grew up loving. The taste feels nostalgic, innocent, safe, but behind that sharp, satisfying flavor lies a danger uniquely powerful for the aging heart. The problem isn't the vegetable itself, it's the staggering amount of sodium hidden inside every bite. And for a heart that has spent 6, 7, or 8 decades carrying you through life, that sodium doesn't just add pressure, it can slowly push the heart toward exhaustion. As we age, the heart naturally stiffens, arteries lose flexibility, and the kidneys, the very organs that regulate salt and fluid, no longer filter with the same efficiency they once had. This means every extra gram of sodium stays in the body longer, pulling in water, expanding blood volume, and forcing the heart to pump with more pressure than it was ever meant to handle. Many seniors notice swelling in their ankles, a tightness in the chest, or breathlessness after simple tasks: walking to the mailbox, bending to tie a shoe, or carrying groceries. These symptoms are often blamed on age. Few suspect the jar of dill pickles or the bowl of sauerkraut sitting innocently in the refrigerator. I once cared for a 74-year-old woman named Evelyn, a warm and spirited grandmother from Minnesota. She believed pickled cabbage helped her digestion, so she ate a generous serving every afternoon. What she didn't see was the slow buildup of fluid beneath the surface, her heart straining against rising pressure day after day. One morning, she woke unable to catch her breath. By the time she arrived at the hospital, her legs had swollen, her heartbeat had slipped into a dangerous rhythm, and her blood pressure had climbed to a level that could trigger a stroke. The primary culprit wasn't a new disease, it was the relentless sodium load from her daily pickled vegetables, a habit she believed was keeping her healthy. For seniors, this connection is not theoretical. High-sodium pickled foods can damage your heart, weaken its pumping ability, and over time contribute to heart failure, arrhythmias, and sudden spikes in blood pressure that can injure the very muscle that keeps you alive. When the heart is forced to move excess fluid day after day, it eventually loses the ability to rest. A lifetime of strength can be undone by a habit no one warned you about, and the danger feels invisible precisely because the food seems wholesome. It's just vegetables, people say. But after age 60, especially for anyone with hypertension, kidney problems, or even mild heart disease, the sodium level in a single serving of pickled vegetables can exceed what your heart can safely handle in an entire day. And pickled vegetables are only the beginning. The next food on this list is even more surprising because most seniors believe it's one of the healthiest choices they can make. Before we move on, remember what we uncovered in the last section. Even something as familiar as pickled vegetables can slowly and silently push an aging heart toward exhaustion. And when the damage builds quietly, it often reveals itself only when the situation has already become serious. That's why every older adult deserves to understand this truth. What tastes harmless may be quietly forcing the heart toward a breaking point. Your heart has carried you through decades of life, through seasons of joy, grief, growth, and change. It should not be pushed toward failure by something as preventable as hidden sodium. And if pickled vegetables can strain the heart this severely, just wait until you learn about the next everyday vegetable-based food, one that many seniors trust without hesitation. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, comment one below, so I know you're with me. Now, let's move on to point number 2. Canned vegetable soups, the hidden sodium trap that quietly breaks down the aging heart. Across America, canned vegetable soups feel like the perfect comfort food, warm, reassuring, easy to prepare, inexpensive, and seemingly wholesome. After all, it's vegetable soup. The phrase itself sounds gentle and nourishing, like something your doctor might approve of without question. But beneath that comforting image lies a quiet danger, especially for older adults dealing with decades of heart wear and tear, high blood pressure, or early signs of congestive failure. These soups often contain extraordinary amounts of sodium, levels capable of harming your heart from the inside out. What makes canned soup so harmful isn't the vegetables floating in the broth, it's the broth itself. That liquid, engineered to sit on a shelf for months or even years, is loaded with sodium far beyond what an aging heart can safely manage. Many familiar brands contain between 700 and 1,200 milligrams of sodium per serving, and one can often contains 2 servings. That means a single bowl can deliver more sodium than your heart and kidneys should receive over the entire day. And the older we get, the harder it becomes for the kidneys to filter out that excess salt. Arteries stiffen, fluid builds, and the heart is left working harder and harder to move that extra volume through the body. I remember caring for an 81-year-old man named George, a quiet widower who relied on canned soups because cooking felt exhausting and he didn't want to be a burden to his family. He believed he was choosing something far healthier than fast food or processed snacks. What he didn't know was that each warm, comforting bowl was loading his bloodstream with salt his kidneys could no longer clear. Day after day, week after week, that salt pulled water into his circulation. His heart stretched, his blood pressure rose, and the organ that had carried him through 8 decades gradually began to lose its strength. By the time he came to the hospital short of breath, unable to lie flat without gasping, his heart was reaching its breaking point from pressure it was never designed to endure. This is the frightening truth to few seniors ever hear. Canned vegetable soups can destroy your heart, not in a dramatic instant, but through slow and steady daily accumulation. Every day of high sodium forces your heart to work harder. Every can you assume it is healthy enough adds pressure to arteries already stiffened by age. What feels like a harmless shortcut gradually pushes the heart toward a point where its muscle fibers no longer contract with their former strength. And the most heartbreaking part, it's so preventable. Knowledge alone could spare so many older adults from this problem. Medical research repeatedly shows that high sodium intake directly drives heart failure, stroke risk, arrhythmias, and sudden cardiovascular collapse, especially in seniors. When the body holds too much fluid, the heart must beat harder, faster, and under greater strain. Over time, this relentless pressure weakens the heart muscle, stretches the chambers, and reduces the ability to pump efficiently. It's not an exaggeration. For an aging body, excess sodium truly has the power to damage the heart and erode decades of resilience. The comforting warmth of canned soup should never come at the expense of your heart's future. Choosing low-sodium versions, draining half the broth, or preparing simple homemade soups can dramatically reduce the hidden load your heart faces. But if the sodium in canned soups alarms you, wait until you learn about the next vegetable-based product, one that comes from a plant, tastes nostalgic, and yet can disrupt your heart's electrical rhythm in ways far more sudden and frightening. Next, we explore licorice root and black licorice, the seemingly harmless treat that can interfere with your heart's electrical system and push an aging heart into real danger. Licorice is natural, plant-based, and has been used for centuries. That's why so many older adults assume it's harmless. But what most seniors never hear, and what many doctors forget to mention, is that licorice contains a chemical capable of quietly destabilizing an aging heart. This isn't exaggeration. It's a reality documented repeatedly in medical literature and in emergency rooms across the country. At the center of the danger is a compound called glycyrrhizin, found naturally in licorice root. In younger adults, the body can often compensate for its effects. But for someone over 60, someone with slower kidneys, higher blood pressure, or a heart muscle that's no longer as resilient, the consequences can be far more serious. Glycyrrhizin interferes with the body's ability to regulate two essential minerals, sodium and potassium. When sodium climbs and potassium drops, blood pressure can rise sharply, fluid retention increases, and most dangerously, the heart's electrical system becomes unstable. This instability can trigger arrhythmias, fluttering, pounding, or skipping beats that feel unpredictable and frightening. In severe situations, the heart's rhythm can deteriorate into patterns that cannot sustain life. For an older adult, this is not a hypothetical worry, it's a documented danger. The FDA has recorded cases of seniors experiencing heart failure, hypertensive crisis, and even cardiac arrest after consuming large amounts of black licorice or licorice-based teas over several days. I remember a 69-year-old patient who came to the hospital just before Halloween. Each evening, he ate a small bag of black licorice, thinking it was a healthier choice than chocolate. Within a week, he felt dizzy and weak, frightened by the pounding in his chest. His potassium had plummeted to a dangerously low level. His blood pressure had surged. His heart rhythm slipped into a pattern that could have ended his life. He stared at the candy wrapper in disbelief, never imagining something so ordinary, something he'd enjoyed since childhood, could harm his heart so deeply. This is what makes licorice risky for seniors. It doesn't feel dangerous. It feels nostalgic, comforting, familiar. But for an aging heart, it has the power to shift electrolytes, strain the heart muscle, and if consumed regularly or in large amounts, disrupt your natural heart rhythm with almost no warning. No senior should live in fear, but every senior deserves the truth. Your heart, after decades of faithful work, should never be jeopardized by something as deceptively innocent as a handful of candy or a soothing herbal tea. And if licorice, a plant so many people trust, can threaten the heart so quickly, then the next vegetable-related food may shock you even more. It carries the power not just to strain your heart, but to interfere with your medications in ways far more unpredictable. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, comment one below to let me know you're here. Now, let's keep moving with point number 4. 4. Grapefruit and grapefruit juice, the healthy fruit that can overload your medications and quietly push an aging heart into danger. For decades, Americans have been told that grapefruit is a heart-healthy choice, a bright, refreshing fruit that lowers cholesterol, boosts immunity, and supports weight control. Seniors across the country start their mornings with half a grapefruit or a glass of grapefruit juice, believing they're making a responsible, health-conscious decision. Yet for older adults, especially those taking medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, or heart rhythm, this familiar fruit carries a hidden danger. Grapefruit can quietly transform your prescribed medications into a force capable of harming your heart, overwhelming it, or even putting your life at risk. The threat doesn't come from sugar, acidity, or calories. It comes from a natural compound called furanocoumarin, which interferes with an enzyme in the small intestine responsible for breaking down many common heart medications. When this enzyme is blocked, your medication is not processed normally. Instead, it remains in your bloodstream at levels far higher than your doctor ever intended. In a younger adult, the body may compensate. But for someone over 60 whose liver and kidneys no longer regulate medications as efficiently, this interaction becomes a dangerous trap. I once cared for a 69-year-old retired bus driver named Harold. He took great pride in controlling his cholesterol with a statin prescribed by his cardiologist. Every morning, he drank a tall glass of grapefruit juice because he believed it cleaned the arteries. What he didn't know was that the juice was disabling the very enzyme meant to control the statin in his system. What happened to Harold and to so many seniors like him is a powerful reminder of how even the healthiest seeming foods can create hidden dangers. And the next part of his story reveals just how quickly grapefruit can overload your heart. Day after day, the level of medication in Harold's bloodstream crept higher, far beyond the safe range his doctor intended. Soon, he began noticing muscle pain, dark urine, unusual exhaustion, and a heavy pressure settling in his chest. By the time he reached the emergency room, his heart was fighting to stabilize itself against dangerously low blood pressure and an electrolyte imbalance triggered by medication levels that had quietly spiraled out of control. His heart wasn't just strained. It was on the edge of crisis, pushed toward a point where one wrong rhythm, one sudden drop in blood pressure, could have taken away its ability to protect him. What makes this so unsettling is how many seniors have no idea they're at risk. Grapefruit interacts with dozens of medications commonly prescribed to older adults, statins, antiarrhythmics, blood pressure drugs, blood thinners, anti-anxiety medications, and even certain pain relievers. And you cannot feel this interaction happening. There is no early warning. The medication simply climbs higher and higher in your bloodstream, while the heart absorbs the consequences: irregular rhythms, sudden drops in blood pressure, muscle breakdown, and stress that can push an aging cardiovascular system to its limits. It is heartbreaking to see older adults harmed, not by recklessness or neglect, but by a fruit they genuinely believed was helping them stay healthy. The truth is not that grapefruit is bad, but that for seniors on certain medications, it becomes an unpredictable amplifier, transforming ordinary doses into levels capable of damaging the heart. And if a simple breakfast fruit can override your medications this dramatically, wait until you hear about the next vegetable-based danger, one hidden inside foods seniors eat every week. Foods that can quietly raise potassium to levels that may stop the heart without warning. 5. High-potassium vegetables and kidney disease. When heart-healthy produce becomes a hidden threat. Throughout life, vegetables like spinach, tomatoes, beets, and sweet potatoes are praised as symbols of good health. Colorful, wholesome, nutrient-rich foods doctors encourage us to eat. And for many people, they truly are healthy. But for older adults with reduced kidney function, a condition far more common than most seniors realize, these same foods can turn unexpectedly dangerous. What once nourished the body can become a slow, silent threat. Potassium begins to rise to levels the heart cannot safely tolerate. And when potassium climbs to high, it disrupts the heart's electrical signals. In severe cases, it can completely stop the heart from beating. The troubling reality is that kidney function naturally declines with age. By the time someone reaches 65 or 70, the kidneys often filter less efficiently than they did in midlife. Add diabetes, high blood pressure, or years of medication, and the kidneys may no longer clear excess potassium at the speed the body needs. The heart, however, depends on a precise potassium balance to generate every beat. That means even a small rise just a few points above normal can create chaos inside the heart's electrical system. And the danger builds quickly, quietly, and without warning. I remember an 82-year-old man named Robert, a gentle soul who loved gardening and believed deeply in eating clean. Each evening, he enjoyed a baked sweet potato with dinner, convinced it strengthened his heart. But his kidneys were weakening, a change he assumed was simply part of aging. Over several weeks, the potassium he consumed began to accumulate. There was no pain, no early alarm, nothing to signal that trouble was building. One afternoon, while sitting in his living room, he felt a sudden wave of weakness. His pulse slowed, then skipped, then turned frighteningly irregular. By the time he reached the hospital, his potassium level was so elevated that his heart was on the verge of shutting down. The very foods he trusted, foods celebrated as healthy, had become dangerous simply because his aging kidneys could no longer keep up. This is what makes high-potassium vegetables such a hidden threat to older adults with kidney disease. And if potassium-rich vegetables can place an aging heart in such sudden danger, the next food on this list may surprise you even more, because it's something millions of seniors eat without a second thought. The danger is invisible. The vegetables taste fresh, the meals feel wholesome, and nothing in your body signals trouble, at least not at first. Yet beneath that sense of normalcy, potassium can quietly rise in the bloodstream, tightening its grip on the heart beat by beat. For an older heart already less flexible, more sensitive to electrical changes, this gradual buildup can lead to arrhythmias, dangerously slow heartbeats, or even sudden cardiac arrest. And because it happens silently, without pain or early warning, many seniors never realize their heart is being pushed toward the edge. It's not the vegetable itself that harms you. It's the combination of age, slowing kidney function, and the body's reduced ability to clear things that were once harmless. Too many seniors assume that healthy food can't hurt you. But the truth is far more delicate. What protects one person may endanger another. And when it comes to potassium, the line between safety and danger becomes razor thin, especially after age 60, when the body's balance is easier to disrupt than most people ever imagine. If these 5 vegetable-based dangers can hide so easily in everyday life, then imagine what else might be quietly shaping the future of your heart, waiting beneath your routine, your habits, your assumptions. This brings us to the most important message every senior in America deserves to hear. The hidden truth seniors must understand to protect their hearts. Looking back at these 5 vegetable-based dangers, a pattern becomes painfully clear. the threats facing older adults are rarely dramatic or obvious. They do not announce themselves loudly. They don't come with flashing lights or sirens. Instead, they slip quietly into daily life through foods that appear harmless, even wholesome. Pickled vegetables packed with sodium, canned soups disguised as comfort, licorice that shifts your body's chemistry, grapefruit that silently interferes with your medications, high-potassium produce that overwhelms aging kidneys. Each one looks innocent. Each one blends into daily routines. Yet for a heart that has carried you through an entire lifetime, these foods can gradually accumulate into pressures strong enough to weaken your heartbeat, damage your rhythms, or under the wrong conditions break the delicate balance that keeps your heart alive. This is the message every senior must hear. Danger doesn't always arrive in dramatic moments. Sometimes it hides in habits so familiar you barely notice them. But knowledge, practical, simple, life-saving knowledge gives you power. It gives you the ability to protect yourself by understanding how your aging body shifts over time, how kidneys filter more slowly, how medications interact more easily, how sodium or potassium can overwhelm your heart without a single warning. When you understand these changes, you reclaim control over your health in a way fear never could. You step into a position of strength. You choose mindfully. You protect yourself not through worry, but through wisdom. Your heart has served you faithfully for decades. It has endured stress and sorrow, celebrated joy and triumph, carried you through every chapter of your life. Now, more than ever, it asks for your care, your attention, and your willingness to make choices that honor the years of work it has already given you. If these 5 warnings reveal anything, it's this. Small choices, tiny, everyday decisions can mean the difference between harm and healing. And the truth remains beautifully simple. Your heart can be protected when you know where the hidden dangers lie. These lessons are not meant to frighten you. They're meant to empower you to help you live fully, confidently, and authentically in the years ahead. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to apply it in your own life. Your insights may help someone else on the same journey. Let's support one another as we embrace these truths and protect the heart that has carried us so far. If you enjoyed this video, drop a 1 in the comments. If you didn't, feel free to leave your feedback truly helps us grow. And before you go, please remember, like this video, share it with someone you care about, subscribe to Senior Health Boost for more life-changing insights designed to protect your heart and strengthen your health, one smart choice at a time. Thank you for watching, and here's to living your senior years with clarity, strength, and confidence on your own terms.